All right, get ready. Because today we are going deep on something we all do.
Oh, yeah.
But probably not as well as we could listening.
Yeah.
I mean, really tuning in, not just like waiting for our turn to talk, you know?
It's more important than we realize, I think.
Totally. Again, the source we're looking at for this deep dive is an article called 7 Ways to Improve Your Listening Skills.
Okay.
And they said most people only remember 25% of what they hear.
Wow.
Just minutes later.
That's wild.
So it makes you think, what are we missing out on, right?
That is the scary part, isn't it? I mean, think about all the times you've had, like, miscommunications or missed opportunities.
Oh, totally.
Or even conflicts that came from not truly listening.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're all walking around with these leaky buckets, you know, trying to fill in with knowledge, but most of it just spills out.
Okay, so we agree, good listening is important.
For sure.
But this source isn't all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
It gets into like why it's so hard these days.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have more ways to communicate than ever.
Right.
But we're actually getting worse at listening.
That's so true.
It's like our brains are constantly switching tasks, scrolling, pinging, like focus is a lost art.
Totally. You know how sometimes you're nodding along in a conversation,
Uh-huh.
but really you're thinking about that embarrassing thing you did last week.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, the source calls this listening on autopilot. And honestly, I think we've all been there.
Oh, yeah. More often than we'd like to admit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
This article talks about active listening.
Okay.
And it's not just some passive thing we do.
Right.
It's a mental workout.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So it's not just about like sitting there quietly.
Mhm.
It's about using those mental muscles.
Exactly. Being present, asking clarifying questions,
Yeah.
reading between the lines, you know, what's being said and what's not being said.
Okay, so active listening is the goal.
Right.
But how do we get there? The source gives us 7 tips.
Okay.
Some seem pretty simple, like making eye contact.
Right. But even eye contact is more than you think.
Right.
It's not just about being polite. It's about creating a feedback loop
Okay.
with the speaker, letting them know you're tuned in
Gotcha.
and processing what they're saying.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's also a tip about being alert but not intense.
Yeah.
How do you strike that balance?
Right.
I don't want to stare someone down while they're talking.
It's about finding that sweet spot
Okay.
between engagement
Uh-huh.
and putting the speaker at ease.
Right.
You want to be attentive, but not make them feel like they're under a microscope.
Yeah.
Think about when someone was really listening to you.
Yeah.
It probably felt supportive, right?
Yeah.
Not intimidating.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
It's about making the other person feel heard and understood.
for sure.
Not like they're being interrogated.
Exactly.
Okay, and then we have paying attention to nonverbal cues.
Uh-huh.
I've always been fascinated by body language. It's like whole other language we speak without realizing it.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we communicate without words,
Yeah,
right?
like a slight shift in posture or raised eyebrows.
Exactly.
Those can speak volumes
Oh, yeah.
about what someone's feeling.
Yeah, and the source says nonverbal cues make up the majority of how we interact.
It's more than just the words.
It's the whole package.
yeah, the whole package.
You know, I remember one time I was giving a presentation and someone in the audience had this like skeptical look on their face.
Oh yeah,
And even though they didn't say anything,
right.
their body language told me they weren't buying it.
Yeah,
And it made me realize just how powerful those nonverbal cues are.
that's a great example.
Yeah.
It shows how those cues can give us feedback, you know, in real time and help us adjust how we're communicating.
Absolutely.
So we've got eye contact,
Yep.
being alert, but not intense,
Yeah.
and paying attention to those nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, the article then gets into a tip that might seem a little strange at first, creating mental images as you listen.
Really?
Yeah, it might sound weird, but there's actually some science behind it.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I've never thought about listening as like a visual thing.
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
When you use more of your senses, you're more likely to remember something.
Right.
So if you're creating a visual representation of what you're hearing, you're basically taking notes in your mind,
Oh, okay.
in your mind's eye.
So instead of just hearing the words, I'm making images and connections in my head.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it takes listening to a whole new level.
It does. This is making me rethink my own listening habits.
Yeah.
What other gems does this source have for us?
This next tip from the article really hit home for me.
Okay.
It's about empathy.
Yeah.
And not just like mirroring someone's emotions, but really trying to see the world from their perspective.
You know, I've heard that before, but it's always sounded so abstract.
Yeah.
How do you actually do that?
Right.
Especially like when you disagree with someone.
It's definitely a skill that takes practice.
Right.
The first step, I think, is acknowledging that everyone's reality is different.
Okay.
You know, shaped by their own experiences and biases.
Right.
What seems obvious to you might be totally foreign to someone else.
So recognizing there isn't always a right or wrong.
Exactly.
It's more about understanding where they're coming from.
Yeah, and the source points out that sometimes just acknowledging someone's feelings can be powerful.
Right.
It's like saying, I see you, I hear you, your experience is valid.
That makes me think about times when I felt truly listened to.
Yeah.
It wasn't always about them agreeing with me.
Right.
It was about making me feel understood.
Exactly.
It's like a weight gets lifted off your shoulders
It is.
when you know someone's really trying to see your point of view.
It's a gift, isn't it?
It is.
Something we can all try to give each other.
Okay, so we've talked about creating those mental images
Yeah.
and empathy.
Uh-huh.
The next tip is about giving feedback.
It seems pretty basic,
Right?
but I guess it's easy to forget when you're in a conversation.
It is simple things like nodding or asking clarifying questions
Right.
or even just summarizing what you've heard
Yeah.
can make the speaker feel valued.
Okay.
It's like sending little signals that say, I'm with you, keep going.
And I imagine that's super important
Oh, yeah.
in situations where good communication is crucial.
For sure.
Like at work
Absolutely.
or in relationships when you're navigating something tricky.
Think about a time when you were giving someone directions and they just stared at you blankly.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you wonder if they were even listening.
Right.
But when someone confirms their understanding,
Yeah.
it builds trust.
Yeah.
It prevents those misunderstandings.
Right. It's like creating this loop of shared understanding,
Exactly.
making sure you're both on the same page.
Okay. The last tip is about keeping an open mind,
Uh-huh.
which I think is easier said than done,
It can be.
especially these days when everyone has such strong opinions.
It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
But it's so important for really listening.
Right.
The article talks about resisting the urge to jump to conclusions or plan what you're going to say while the other person is still talking.
Yeah.
It's about letting them express themselves fully without interruption or judgment.
You know, sometimes I catch myself doing that,
Oh, yeah.
planning my response before they've even finished their thought.
It's so easy to do.
Like I'm so focused on being right
Right.
that I'm missing out on actually understanding them.
It's a common trap,
It is.
but mindfulness can help.
Oh, right. The article mentioned mindfulness.
Yeah.
What's the connection there?
Mindfulness is all about being present
Okay.
without judgment.
Uh-huh.
And when you apply that to listening,
Yeah.
it helps you become aware of your own thoughts. Okay.
Those judgments that can distract you from what the speaker is saying.
So it's like silencing that inner critic
Exactly.
that wants to argue or disagree.
Yeah.
So you can actually focus on the other person.
And the source gives some good tips
Okay.
for incorporating mindfulness,
Uh-huh.
like taking a few deep breaths before a conversation,
Okay.
minimizing distractions,
Right.
and paying attention to your own physical sensations.
Those are all things we can do to be more mindful when listening.
Exactly.
Okay, so mindfulness gives us the tools to really listen deeply.
It does.
But how does this all connect back to the listener?
Well, this deep dive is showing us
Yeah.
that good listening is so much more than just hearing words.
Right.
It's a skill,
Mm-hmm.
an art,
Yeah.
even a form of mindfulness
Okay.
that can make every part of our lives better.
It's like we've been given this roadmap for
Yeah.
being better communicators,
That's
better
it.
partners, better friends,
Right.
and just better human beings.
And the best part.
It's a skill anyone can learn
Right.
with practice and intention.
Okay, so we can all become better listeners.
We can.
It's a journey worth taking.
It is.
But before we go too far,
Yeah.
let's unpack that transition to mindfulness from the source
Okay.
and how it really impacts how well we listen. As we wrap up this deep dive on listening,
Yeah.
I keep thinking about how rare it is to find someone who really gets it.
Right.
Someone who listens with their whole being, you know.
It's like finding a hidden treasure.
It is.
Those people who really make you feel seen and heard.
Exactly. And this whole conversation
Yeah.
made me realize
Uh-huh.
it's not just about learning techniques.
Right.
It's about having the right mindset,
It is.
an attitude of genuine curiosity and respect.
I think that's the key.
Yeah.
It's about wanting to understand and learn from the other person.
And that can make all the difference.
It can.
When we listen with intention,
Uh-huh.
we open ourselves up to new perspectives,
Right.
better understanding,
Better.
and stronger relationships.
The source even talked about
Yeah.
being sensitive to the speaker's needs
Okay.
and how they communicate. Because everyone communicates differently, right?
Think about it.
Yeah.
Some people are super direct, while others are more subtle.
Right. Some people need time to process before they speak.
Yeah. And others think out loud.
Exactly.
And a good listener picks up on those things.
They do.
They adjust their style to make the speaker comfortable.
It's like we're all composing the symphony of communication.
I love that.
Yeah.
Where every instrument is important, you know?
And it shows that listening is a two-way street.
It is.
It's a dance between the speaker and the listener where they both create meaning and understanding.
You know, this deep dive has made me think about my own listening habits. I've definitely been guilty of multitasking.
Yeah.
Getting distracted.
It happens.
Not being fully present.
We all have those moments.
We do. But the good news is, listening is like any skill.
Right.
We can improve with practice.
Exactly. And the 7 tips from the source are a great place to start.
They are.
Eye contact, nonverbal cues, mental images, empathy, feedback, open mind, and mindfulness.
Those are the tools we need to be better listeners.
They are. And remember, it's a journey.
It is.
Not a destination.
Right.
We're all a work in progress.
Yeah.
And every conversation is a chance to practice.
This deep dive has been awesome.
It has.
It's a good reminder that good listening is a gift.
It is.
To ourselves and to others.
It makes our relationships better.
It does.
Helps us understand the world better.
Yeah.
And opens us up to new possibilities.
I couldn't agree more.
So as we wrap up,
yeah,
I want you to think about what really stuck with you.
Okay.
What's one small change you can make to be a better listener?
Right.
Maybe it's putting your phone away during conversations, making more eye contact.
Or just taking a moment to clear your head.
Good tips.
Because every step we take to become better listeners brings us closer to deeper connections and a better understanding of the world.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of listening skills.
Absolutely.
We'll catch you next time.
See you then.
Where we'll explore another fascinating topic.
Sounds good.
Until then, happy listening.
All right, listener, ever feel like just those simple, everyday English conversations can sometimes be, like, a bit tricky?
Oh, absolutely.
Today, we're diving deep on exactly that. How to navigate those little interactions that can sometimes, trip us up.
Yeah.
We're taking inspiration from job interviews to restaurant orders to even reporting a burglary.
It's amazing how much we can learn from just breaking these seemingly simple exchanges down, right?
Yeah.
We'll uncover hidden language patterns, like those unspoken cultural rules, and maybe even give you some useful phrases that you can use right away.
Love it. We've got transcripts from Jessica's practice conversations and even a few quizzes sprinkled in there to test your listening skills.
Oh.
So get ready for some serious aha moments as we decode the secrets to smooth and confident English speaking.
Let's start with something I think many people find daunting, the job interview. We'll be dissecting the conversation between Tom Hilton, our ambitious job seeker, and the interviewer.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
So Tom lays out his top 3 goals for working at this company, right? He wants to sharpen his communication skills. He admits he was a bit shy in his previous role.
I like that, yeah.
That's smart, right?
Yeah, shows self-awareness.
Then he highlights his 5 years of experience in sales and promotion.
Yeah.
But he doesn't just list it off, like a robot.
Exactly. He connects his experience directly to the company's goals.
Yeah.
He uses phrases like contribute to growth and develop effective strategies, demonstrating he's thought about how his skills fit this specific role.
Yeah.
You can use this technique too, listener.
Yes.
Research the company before your interview and tailor your answers to their needs.
Such a good point. Okay, then comes the part that always makes me nervous, the 5-year plan. Tom doesn't hold back. He wants to be a sales manager. And he even talks about training future employees.
Yeah.
Is that too bold or is it brilliant?
It's brilliant. It shows he's not just looking for a job, he's looking for a career.
Right.
He's already envisioning his future with the company and how he can contribute to its long-term success. This kind of forward thinking makes us a strong impression on interviewers.
You can tell the interviewer's reaction says it all. Yeah. They're clearly impressed. They call him a talent, and they say they'd love to have him.
Nice.
That 5-year plan was a home run.
Totally.
But what can our listener take away from this?
Don't be afraid to be ambitious in your job interviews. Of course, be realistic and genuine, but outlining your long-term goals can demonstrate your commitment and vision.
Yeah.
It shows you're invested in more than just a paycheck.
Absolutely. From the pressure cooker of a job interview, let's shift to something a little more delicious.
Okay.
Ordering at a fancy restaurant.
Sounds good.
We're joining Amanda as she navigates the menu at a seafood haven.
I'm hungry already.
This scenario is all about mastering polite and efficient communication. Notice how Amanda starts by confirming her reservation with the waiter, Peter.
Okay.
It's a small detail, but it sets the tone for a smooth interaction.
Sure.
Now, Peter, he's a master of the upsell.
Oh.
He suggests the smoked salmon mousse.
Ooh,
or the shrimp dip.
Even better.
And his descriptions are making my mouth water. He's like a walking, talking menu advertisement.
Right, and listen to the language he uses.
Yeah.
He describes the salmon mousse as having a delicious taste.
Yeah.
And assures Amanda that the shrimp dip won't let you down.
Right.
He's subtly implying that, like, other choices might not be as satisfying.
Interesting.
This is a great persuasive technique you can use in any situation, listener, not just ordering food.
So true. Amanda wisely chooses the shrimp dip. I mean, who wouldn't?
Come on.
Then Peter smoothly moves on to the main course, showcasing the lobster and king crab.
Fancy.
But plot twist.
Uh-oh.
Amanda's not a fan of crab.
Picky.
But Peter doesn't miss a beat. He easily adapts, confirming Amanda's choice of lobster and even suggesting the fish soup.
Okay.
Which is apparently highly recommended.
Nice.
And of course, no meal is complete without a drink.
Of course.
So Amanda adds a white wine.
Excellent choice.
It's a perfectly choreographed dance.
It is.
What's the key takeaway here for our listener?
The structure of the conversation is key.
Okay.
Amanda clearly states her preferences. Peter provides helpful suggestions. And together they confirm the order. Yeah. This back and forth ensures clear communication and avoids any, awkward misunderstandings.
Yeah.
It's a great model for any restaurant interaction.
Okay, buckle up, listener. We're switching gears from delicious seafood to a scenario that, well, nobody wants to experience.
Oh, no.
Courting a burglary.
Oh, geez.
We're listening in on Alexander Potter's conversation with a police officer.
Right.
In this situation, clear and accurate information is absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
Notice how Alexander immediately states the purpose of his call. To report a burglary?
Right.
He doesn't waste time with small talk.
No.
He gets right to the point.
Good.
And the officer is all business.
Of course.
They request specific information, full name, age, address, phone number. Alexander provides everything promptly and accurately.
Okay, good.
I guess when you're dealing with a stressful situation, it's important to stay calm and focused.
Absolutely. Then the officer asks Alexander to recount the events leading up to the discovery of the burglary.
Right.
And this is where details matter.
Okay.
Alexander explains he left for work at 6:45 a.m.,
Okay.
carefully locking the door and closing all the windows.
Yeah.
He returned home at 11:30 p.m.
Okay.
to find a broken window and his house ransacked.
Oh, no.
See how important those specific times are.
It paints a clear picture for the officer, right? It establishes a timeline and helps them understand the sequence of events.
Right.
Plus, Alexander mentions the stolen goods,
Okay.
$1,000 in cash, and a watch. Providing a list of missing items is crucial for the investigation, isn't it?
Exactly. It helps the police understand the extent of the crime and what they need to look for.
Okay.
Then comes a potentially valuable clue. When asked if he suspects anyone, Alexander remembers seeing a big and tall man dressed in black the previous night.
Interesting.
He couldn't see the man's face because of a mask.
Oh.
But even that vague description could be a lead for the police, right?
You could, yeah.
Absolutely. It shows that even seemingly insignificant details can be helpful in an investigation.
Yeah.
So listener, remember this. When reporting an incident, be as detailed as possible.
Right.
Even small details can make a difference.
Right, let's move from the stress of a burglary to something a little more lighthearted.
Okay.
Asking for directions.
I get lost all the time, so this is good.
We've got a snippet of a conversation where a stranger helps someone find the train station.
Okay.
This interaction is a great example of clear landmarks and concise instructions. The stranger starts by saying, "I'm also heading to the train station."
Okay.
Immediately putting the person at ease.
Nice.
It's a small gesture, but builds trust and a willingness to help.
Yeah.
I love that. Then the stranger lays out the directions.
Okay.
Go straight down King Street.
Okay.
Take the first left after you pass 2 quarters. And you'll see the train station opposite a flower shop.
Got it.
Easy peasy, right?
Exactly. The use of familiar landmarks, King Street, the quarters, the flower shop, makes the directions easy to follow.
For sure.
And notice how the person seeking directions confirms their understanding by repeating the landmarks back to the stranger.
Yeah, good point.
This ensures clear communication and minimizes the chances of getting lost.
Totally. It's a little reminder that even in a big city, a friendly stranger can make all the difference.
Oh.
And now, let's step into the bustling world of a market.
Okay.
We're joining Adam as he tackles his grocery list with the help of a very helpful vendor.
I love these helpful vendors.
This scenario highlights the importance of proactive assistance and clear spatial directions.
Okay.
Adam's got his list: carrots, potatoes, cabbage, lettuce, and milk.
A lot of good stuff.
The vendor doesn't just point him in the general direction, though.
Right.
For the carrots, potatoes, they specifically mention the vegetable stall next to the fruit stall.
Okay.
It's like having a personal shopping guide.
Yeah.
And when Adam mentions that he's also looking for potatoes, the vendor effortlessly guides him right to them.
Nice.
Talk about efficiency.
Yeah.
And then they pull a classic upselling move. As Adam's getting his potatoes, the vendor points out that the cabbages are conveniently located right behind him.
Smart.
It's subtle, but effective.
So true.
Gotta love a helpful vendor. So Adam grabs some cabbage and lettuce.
Okay.
And like a seasoned pro, the vendor seamlessly directs him to the dairy section for his milk.
Perfect.
This vendor deserves a raise. What's the big takeaway here?
Pay attention to how the vendor uses clear spatial language. Next to, right behind you, straight ahead down this way.
Yeah.
These simple phrases paint a clear mental map for Adam, making his shopping trip a breeze.
It's a testament to the power of clear communication and that extra bit of helpfulness, especially in a busy environment like a market.
Absolutely.
Speaking of clear communication, let's shift to a more traditional form of communication.
Okay.
Sending a letter at the post office.
Oh, wow. Old school.
We're eavesdropping on someone who needs to send a letter to their grandpa in California.
Ah, that's nice.
The good old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Our protagonist is a bit lost.
Oh, no.
But thankfully, the postal worker is there to guide them through the process.
Okay, good.
They start by outlining the basics.
Right.
You need an envelope, a stamp,
Right.
and you need to address the letter correctly.
Okay.
Simple enough, right?
Right.
But there's more to it than meets the eye.
Oh.
The postal worker gives specific instructions for writing the addresses.
All right.
The recipient's address goes in the bottom center of the envelope, and the sender's address goes in the top left corner.
Got it.
These details are crucial for making sure the letter gets where it needs to go.
For sure.
It's amazing how even something as simple as sending a letter has specific rules and conventions.
Right.
It highlights the importance of accuracy and precision in all forms of communication, even those we might consider old school.
Absolutely. And the postal worker doesn't stop there.
Okay.
They also set clear expectations, explaining that delivery to California might take 3 or 4 days.
Right.
It's always helpful to set realistic timelines.
So let's trade the post office for a place that might bring back some memories.
Okay.
A college campus.
Oh, I miss those days.
We're listening in on a conversation between Jane and Tim, two students trying to figure out their class schedules.
Okay.
This scenario is all about comparing and contrasting information,
Okay.
identifying similarities, and making plans based on shared free time.
Right.
Jane and Tim bump into each other,
Okay.
and what do you know? They both have economics class.
Nice.
But wait, there's a twist.
Oh.
It's like a college version of Ships Passing in the Night.
Oh, no.
As they dive into the details, they realize their economics classes are in different locations.
Oh.
Jane's is on the second floor, room 405,
Okay.
while Tim's is on the first floor, room 112.
So close, yet so far.
They share a subject, but are separated by a single floor.
Wow.
It's a funny coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the good news is their schedules align for their second period.
Okay.
Neither of them has class,
Perfect.
which leads to a classic college move.
What's that?
A spontaneous lunch date.
Nice.
They decide to meet at the cafeteria.
Awesome.
It's a nice reminder that even with hectic schedules and academic pressures, there's always time for connection and a shared meal.
Absolutely.
And finally, let's end our first part with a conversation that's close to everyone's heart.
Okay, what's that?
Choosing a movie.
Ooh, I love movies.
We're joining a group of friends as they navigate the age-old dilemma of what to watch.
It's a tough one.
It's a battle of preferences. One friend loves horror, but laments the lack of options in that genre.
Oh, I feel that.
They even mention a specific movie,
Okay.
but it's more of a psychological thriller than straight-up horror.
Okay.
Decisions.
Yeah.
Then another friend jumps in, expressing a strong preference for comedy and a firm rejection of anything remotely romantic.
All right.
It's a classic movie night negotiation.
It is.
Everyone has their opinions, and finding common ground can be a challenge.
For sure.
But in the end, they settle on a highly recommended comedy, proving the power of personal recommendations when it comes to decision-making.
Yeah.
Sometimes all it takes is that one friend who says, "Trust me, you'll love it."
Exactly.
It's a great reminder that even a simple decision like choosing a movie can involve navigating personal preferences, weighing options, and ultimately finding something that everyone can enjoy. Welcome back, listener. Ready for round 2 of our English conversation deep dive.
We've just scratched the surface. Remember, we're not just like summarizing these conversations.
Right.
We're uncovering the why behind the what. Why did certain phrases work?
Right.
What subtle techniques can you borrow for your own interactions?
Exactly. So let's rewind for a second and zoom in on some of the most intriguing details from our first batch of conversations.
I'm ready. Where do you want to start?
Let's go back to Tom's impressive job interview.
Okay.
His 5-year plan was a game changer, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. By expressing his ambition to become a sales manager and train future employees, he did something really smart.
Yeah.
He showed a deep commitment to the company and a vision for his own growth within it.
Right.
It's not just about wanting a job, it's about wanting this job long term.
It's like he's saying, I'm not just here for the paycheck, I'm here to build something.
Exactly.
It's got to resonate with any employer.
Exactly. And notice, he didn't use vague language.
He was specific, talking about training future employees.
Right.
That paints a picture of him as a leader invested in the company's success.
Okay, next up, let's revisit that mouth-watering restaurant scene with Amanda and Peter.
Ooh, yes.
Peter's descriptions of the dishes were pure magic.
He was a master of persuasive language.
Yeah.
He didn't just, list menu items.
Right.
He created an experience with his words.
Yeah.
Delicious taste. Won't let you down.
Right.
He appealed to Amanda's senses, making her practically taste those dishes before they even arrived.
It's a reminder that language can be so powerful, even when we're talking about something as simple as food.
Right.
You can use these techniques anywhere, listener.
Yeah.
Want to convince a friend to watch your favorite movie?
Yeah.
Describe it in vivid detail. Make it irresistible.
Absolutely.
Speaking of persuasion, let's circle back to Alexander's burglary report.
Okay.
It was fascinating how even his vague description of the suspect could be a valuable clue. It's like that saying, every detail matters,
Right.
especially in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Alexander remembered the suspect was big and tall and dressed in black.
Right.
Maybe not much to go on, but it's something.
It is. It highlights the importance of providing as much detail as possible when reporting an incident, even if it seems insignificant at the time.
Right.
You never know what detail might be the key to cracking the case.
Exactly.
Okay, shifting gears again, let's talk about that friendly stranger who guided someone to the train station.
Okay.
Those directions were crystal clear.
Right. They used familiar landmarks,
Yeah.
King Street, the quarters, the flower shop,
Right.
to create a mental map for the person seeking help.
Yeah.
This is a great technique to remember, listener.
Yes.
Whether you're giving or receiving directions,
Right.
always try to use landmarks that are easy to spot and remember.
And the person asking for directions did a smart thing too.
Oh, yeah.
They confirmed their understanding by repeating the landmarks back to the stranger.
Oh, that's good.
No room for confusion there.
Communication is a two-way street, isn't it?
It is.
It's always a good idea to confirm your understanding,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to directions or instructions.
Right.
It can save a lot of time and frustration in the long run.
All right, now let's rewind to that bustling market scene with Adam and the super helpful vendor.
I love that vendor.
That vendor was like a human GPS.
They were. Remember how they guided Adam through the market using clear spatial language?
Yeah.
Next to, right behind you, straight ahead, down this way.
Right.
These simple phrases were like signposts,
Yeah.
leading Adam directly to his desired destinations.
It makes you realize how much we rely on spatial language in our everyday lives.
We do.
We take it for granted, but without it, we'd be lost.
Think about it, listener.
Yeah.
How often do you use phrases like, turn left at the corner,
Right.
it's on the top shelf, or walk 2 blocks and you'll see it on your right?
Yeah.
We use this kind of language all the time, and mastering it is essential for smooth communication.
Speaking of mastering communication, let's talk about that trip to the post office.
Okay.
I loved how the postal worker broke down the seemingly simple task of sending a letter into clear steps.
It reminds us that even, like, seemingly mundane tasks have their own specific procedures and conventions.
Right.
And in this case, precision is key.
Yeah.
Writing the addresses in the correct locations on the envelope is crucial for ensuring the letter reaches its intended destination.
It's like a little dance.
It is.
The sender's address here, the recipient's address there, the stamp in the corner.
Right.
Everything has its place.
Yeah.
It highlights the importance of following instructions carefully and paying attention to detail.
Absolutely. And remember how the postal worker also set clear expectations for delivery time?
Right.
They explained it might take 3 or 4 days for the letter to reach California.
Yeah.
This kind of transparency is always appreciated, isn't it?
It is.
It sets realistic expectations and avoids any unnecessary anxiety or confusion.
Okay, back to the college campus now.
Yes.
I loved that little encounter between Jane and Tim comparing their class schedules.
Yeah.
It was like a mini mystery.
It was. They both had economics class.
Right.
But the details were crucial.
Yeah.
Jane's class was on the second floor, room 405, while Tim's was on the first floor, room 112.
Yep.
It shows how even a slight difference in information can lead to confusion or missed connections.
It's a good reminder to be specific when sharing information.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to schedules, locations, or any situation where accuracy is important.
Right.
Don't assume everyone is on the same page.
Exactly.
And of course, we can't forget that classic movie night debate.
Oh, the movie night.
It was a great example of how group decisions often involve navigating different preferences and finding a compromise.
It is a challenge.
It is. I loved how they ultimately settled on a comedy based on a personal recommendation.
Yeah, me too.
It shows how much we trust our friends' opinions, especially when it comes to entertainment.
It's fascinating how social influence plays a role in our decision-making.
Right.
We often rely on recommendations from people we trust,
Yes.
whether it's for a movie, a restaurant, or even a life-changing decision.
But wait, there's more. We've only just begun to unpack these conversations.
Oh.
Stay tuned, listener, because in our final part, we'll explore another layer of communication.
Ooh, what's that?
The unspoken language of nonverbal cues. All right, listener, we're back for the final act of our English conversation deep dive. We've analyzed the words, uncovered hidden meanings, but there's one crucial element we haven't even touched on yet.
What's that?
What about, like, all that unspoken stuff?
Oh, you're talking about nonverbal communication. It's like a whole other layer of meaning that can honestly make or break a conversation.
Exactly. I mean, think about it, right?
Yeah.
A simple smile, it can convey warmth and openness.
Right.
But like a furrowed brow, that can signal confusion or even disapproval, right?
Absolutely.
We communicate so much without even saying a word.
It's fascinating how these nonverbal cues can enhance or even contradict our spoken words.
Yeah.
Remember Tom in that job interview?
Yeah.
Imagine him delivering that, like, brilliant 5-year plan with slumped shoulders and, just nervously fidgeting.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have had the same impact, would it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I bet his confident posture, genuine smile, and that firm handshake probably just amplified his words.
Totally.
And made him even more memorable to the interviewer.
For sure.
It's like nonverbal communication is the secret sauce,
Yeah.
It adds that flavor to our conversations.
Let's rewind to Amanda's elegant restaurant experience.
Okay.
Her polite nods, attentive eye contact, and that warm tone of voice. Those likely played a big role in creating a positive and enjoyable dining experience for both her and Peter.
Like those little nonverbal cues are saying, like, I'm listening,
Yeah.
I'm engaged,
Right.
I'm enjoying this interaction.
Exactly.
That can make a world of difference, can it?
Absolutely. And even in a stressful situation like reporting a burglary, nonverbal communication matters.
Oh, for sure.
Imagine Alexander delivering his report to the officer with a, detached tone and a lack of eye contact.
Right.
It might raise doubts about the seriousness of his claim,
Oh, yeah.
but his genuine concern, his focused demeanor, that would likely convey the urgency and gravity of the situation,
Right.
making the officer more inclined to believe him and take immediate action.
Now, think about that helpful stranger guiding someone to the train station.
Okay.
Imagine them delivering those clear directions with a frown and impatient gestures.
Yeah,
It wouldn't exactly inspire confidence, would it?
definitely not. But a friendly smile, welcoming eye contact, and helpful hand gestures, that would make those instructions even clearer and more reassuring.
Right. It's amazing how a few nonverbal cues can transform a simple interaction into a really positive experience.
And let's not forget Adam's market adventure with that super helpful vendor.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how we talked about the vendor's clear spatial language?
Yeah.
Now imagine those directions accompanied by, like, a warm smile and genuine enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah.
It would make the shopping experience so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Those nonverbal cues would convey a sense of, welcome,
Yep.
helpfulness,
Yeah.
and maybe even a touch of pride in their, market expertise.
For sure.
And even at the post office, where things are, a bit more formal, nonverbal communication still plays a role.
Oh, absolutely.
The postal workers, patient demeanor,
Yeah.
clear explanations, and maybe even a reassuring nod. It would reinforce their helpfulness and expertise.
Right.
It's like they're saying, don't worry, I'm here to help you navigate this process. You'll be sending that letter in no time.
And remember those friends debating what movie to watch?
Yeah.
Their nonverbal communication probably added a whole other layer of fun to their decision-making.
Right.
Enthusiastic nods, excited expressions, maybe even a playful eye roll or two. All of these nonverbal cues would, enhance their bonding experience and make choosing a movie even more enjoyable.
So listener, what's the big takeaway here?
Yeah.
It's simple. Nonverbal communication is powerful.
It is.
It can amplify our message, build rapport, and create more meaningful connections in any conversation.
Pay attention to your own nonverbal cues.
Right.
Your posture, your facial expressions, your tone of voice.
Yeah.
Are you conveying the message you intend?
And be observant of the nonverbal cues of others.
Yeah.
Are they engaged, confused, amused? Tuning into these unspoken signals can give you valuable insights into how your message is being received.
Remember, communication is a dance between words and actions.
It is.
When you master both, you unlock the full potential of human connection.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into everyday English conversations, listener. We've gone from job interviews to restaurant orders to burglary reports and beyond.
Wow.
Uncovering the hidden secrets of successful communication.
We've explored language patterns, persuasive techniques, spatial language, and the power of nonverbal cues.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
We hope you've gained valuable insights and practical tips that you can actually use in your own conversations.
Yeah.
Remember, practice makes perfect.
It does.
So get out there, put these skills to work, and watch your confidence soar.
And most importantly, have fun. Embrace the joy of connecting with others through the beautiful and complex world of language.
Until next time, happy conversing. Welcome to our deep dive, and today we're going to be looking into nutrition and aging. I found this really interesting YouTube video from the Alliance for Aging Research, and it's called Nutrition for a Healthy Life.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I thought it would be, good to kind of go through this together because, I think we all want to understand how what we eat impacts our health, not just as we get older, but throughout our whole lives, really.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And what really got me with this video is that they say we start experiencing age-related changes much earlier than you think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, it's not just about wrinkles and gray hair.
Right.
This is a really complex process that starts from the moment we're born.
Oh, wow.
And they talk about, our environment, the food we eat, the stress we experience, all playing a role.
Interesting. Well, yeah, it makes sense that all those things would kind of, have an impact on how we age, I guess. Right. And so they really dive into the science of it all, like explaining how things like chronic inflammation and telomere shortening contribute to aging.
Uh-huh.
And I have to admit, I had to brush up on my biology a little bit for this one.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So, can you explain chronic inflammation?
Sure, yeah. So basically, think of your immune system as this, amazing defense force, right?
Okay.
Always on patrol protecting your body from invaders.
Okay.
But sometimes this defense force, it gets a little overzealous, and it starts attacking healthy cells.
What?
Yeah. And that's chronic inflammation in a nutshell.
Oh.
It's like friendly fire, but on a cellular level.
Right.
And over time, it contributes to that wear and tear that we associate with aging.
Okay, that makes sense. And then what about telomeres?
Oh, yeah.
I remember hearing about those in biology class, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So think of telomeres like those little protective caps on the ends of your shoelaces.
Okay.
That prevent them from fraying.
Right, yeah.
Well, these caps exist on our chromosomes too,
Right.
protecting our precious DNA.
Huh.
But as we age, those telomeres get shorter.
Oh, no.
And that leaves our DNA more vulnerable to damage.
Oh, I see.
It's another key factor in the aging process.
So we really are aging on a microscopic level all the time.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
It is.
And, speaking of mind-blowing, they give some examples of early aging that really surprised me.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like, did you know that we can start losing our ability to hear certain high-frequency sounds as teenagers?
As teenagers?
Yeah.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. And that's not all our cognitive function, which includes things like, memory and how quickly we process information starts to decline gradually after peaking in our mid-20s.
Seriously?
Yeah. You know how you could pull all-nighters in college and still ace those exams?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's because your cognitive function was at its peak back then.
Interesting. So it's all downhill from there.
Well, it's slowly declining.
Right.
But it's happening.
Okay.
And so it's making it even more important to, take care of our brains.
I see.
So that's a bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah.
It's easy to think we're invincible when we're young, but clearly these changes are happening whether we're paying attention or not.
Right.
But here's the good news. We're not just passengers on this aging journey.
Oh, good.
The video makes a really strong case that we can influence how we age through our lifestyle choices, especially when it comes to nutrition.
Okay. Yeah.
So food is more than just fuel.
Right.
It can be like medicine for our bodies.
I like that.
Yeah. And it's not just about avoiding the bad foods, although that's certainly part of it.
Right.
It's about understanding how specific nutrients can actually promote healthy aging.
Interesting.
So we're kind of shifting from, a defensive strategy of avoiding harm to an offensive strategy of actively nourishing our bodies for the long haul.
Huh.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a great way to put it. I really like that. It's about being proactive with your health,
Right.
And that's what I find so exciting about the way that nutrition research is evolving.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, we're moving beyond just identifying harmful ingredients and starting to really explore how specific nutrients can benefit us on a cellular level, supporting healthy aging from the inside out.
So it's not just about ditching the donuts.
Right.
It's about seeking out those superfoods.
Exactly. And the video highlights some really compelling examples of how making those positive food choices can translate into real health benefits.
Okay, so spill the beans. What kind of benefits are we talking about?
Well, for starters, a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and lean meats has been shown to help lower blood pressure, improve glucose control for those with diabetes, and even aid in weight management. Those are some pretty significant wins right there.
That's impressive. But what about long-term benefit? Does this way of eating offer any protection against more serious health issues down the road?
Absolutely. Studies have shown a really strong link between this type of diet and a reduced risk of both cancer and cardiovascular disease.
Oh, wow.
Which are, two of the leading causes of death worldwide.
That's huge. Those are some pretty compelling reasons to rethink my grocery list.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what about specifics?
Okay.
Are there any particular nutrients that really stand out when it comes to healthy aging?
Oh, there are. And the video does a great job of highlighting a few key players.
Okay, tell me.
So let's start with those vibrant colors that you see in fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Those colors come from plant pigments.
Okay.
And it turns out they're not just pretty to look at,
Right.
They can actually protect your eyes from age-related damage.
I've always heard that carrots are good for your eyes, but I never knew it was the pigments that were doing the work.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's amazing how nature packs so much power into these simple foods.
It really is. And then, of course, there's calcium.
Right.
Essential for building and maintaining strong bones, which is crucial as we age and become more susceptible to fractures.
Yeah, no one wants to end up with a broken hip just from a minor stumble.
Exactly. And we can't forget about our brains.
Oh, right.
The video emphasizes the importance of B vitamins for maintaining cognitive health as we get older.
It's like real-life brain food.
It is.
So it's not just a marketing gimmick. There's actual science behind the idea of brain-boosting foods.
Right.
What other nutritional superheroes does the video mention?
Well, there are flavonoids.
Okay.
These powerful antioxidants are found in a wide variety of plants, and research suggests they can do wonders for our cardiovascular health.
So we're talking about things like berries, tea dark chocolate.
Exactly.
All those delicious things.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here. Healthy eating doesn't have to be boring.
No, not at all. In fact, it can be incredibly enjoyable and satisfying.
Right.
It's all about finding ways to incorporate these nutrient-rich foods into your diet in a way that works for you and your lifestyle.
This is all so fascinating, but I have to admit it can also feel a bit overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, where do I even begin?
That's a great point. It's easy to get lost in all the details, so maybe it's helpful to just step back for a moment and think about the big picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good idea. So what's the key takeaway here? What do we really need to remember from all this?
Well, the key takeaway is this. You have more power than you realize to influence how you age, and nutrition plays a crucial role. It's not about achieving some perfect restrictive diet.
Right.
It's about making informed choices that support your long-term health and well-being.
I love that. It's empowering, not intimidating.
Exactly. And the best part is it's never too late to start making changes.
So knowing all this, what's one small change we can make to our diet today to start investing in our future health? It doesn't have to be a huge overhaul. Just one simple thing to get the ball rolling.
Well, I think a great place to start is by simply adding more color to your plate.
I love that. It's visual. It's actionable.
Yeah.
So instead of reaching for that bag of chips, maybe grab a handful of berries or some bell pepper slices.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment.
Right.
There are so many delicious fruits and vegetables out there, you're bound to find some new favorites.
Yeah, that's true.
You might even surprise yourself.
Speaking of surprises, I was really struck by how early those age-related changes can start. It makes you realize that taking care of your health isn't something you can put off till later.
It's true. We often think of aging as something that happens way down the road.
Right.
But this video really underscores the idea that healthy aging is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And the choices we make today can have a big impact on how that journey unfolds.
Absolutely. But I think one of the biggest challenges for people is sticking with healthy habits.
Oh, yeah.
Life gets busy, and it's easy to fall back on old patterns, especially when it comes to food.
You're absolutely right. That's why it's so important to find what works for you.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to healthy eating. It's about figuring out how to incorporate these nutrient-rich foods into your life in a way that feels sustainable and enjoyable.
So what does that look like in practice?
Yeah.
Any tips for making healthy eating a little easier?
Well, it might mean prepping healthy snacks ahead of time so you're not tempted by the vending machine at work.
Oh, that's smart.
Or it could be about finding healthy recipes that you actually enjoy so it doesn't feel like a chore to eat well.
Right. I think a lot of people have this idea that healthy eating has to be restrictive and boring.
That's a common misconception. Healthy eating can be incredibly delicious and satisfying.
I hope so.
It's about finding ways to make those nutrient-rich foods the stars of your meals and snacks.
Okay.
Think about experimenting with different herbs and spices, trying new cooking techniques, or exploring cuisines that naturally prioritize plant-based foods.
Okay, that's a great point. It's not about deprivation, it's about discovery. It sounds like shifting our mindset about healthy eating is a big part of the equation.
Absolutely. It's about reframing it as an act of self-care. A way to nourish and support your body rather than punish it.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to step up my nutrition game after this deep dive.
Me too. What about you?
Absolutely. This video is a great reminder that we have more control over our health than we often realize.
Yeah.
And it all starts with what we choose to put in our bodies.
Couldn't agree more. And if anyone wants to dive even deeper into this topic, the Alliance for Aging Research has a wealth of information on their website.
Yes, they have a whole section dedicated to healthy aging and nutrition.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely worth checking out if you want to learn more about specific nutrients and how to make sure you're getting enough of them in your diet.
Okay.
They even have some helpful tips for meal planning and recipe ideas.
And they even address the question of supplements.
Oh, right.
Which I know a lot of people are curious about. Right, they talk about how supplements can be helpful in some cases, but it's always best to talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement regimen to make sure it's right for you.
Solid advice. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
Knowing what you now know about the connection between nutrition and aging, what's one small change you can make to your diet today to invest in your long-term health? It doesn't have to be a huge overhaul. It could be as simple as swapping out that sugary soda for a glass of water, adding some berries to your breakfast, or choosing a salad instead of fries at lunch.
That's a great challenge. Every little bit counts.
Yeah.
And those small changes can add up to big results over time.
So true. And remember, healthy aging isn't just about living longer, it's about living better.
Well said. It's about having the energy and vitality to enjoy all that life has to offer for years to come.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into nutrition and aging. We hope you found it informative and inspiring.
And remember, you have the power to shape your health destiny. Choose wisely.
And for more information and resources on healthy aging, be sure to visit the Alliance for Aging Research website at www.agingresearch.org. Nutrition.
It's a fantastic resource full of evidence-based information that can help you make informed decisions about your health.
Until next time, happy deep diving.
Stay curious, stay healthy.
You know, as we've been talking about all these amazing benefits of healthy eating, it's got me thinking about something.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Well, it seems like there's a real shift happening in how we view food. It's not just about sustenance anymore. It's about taking a proactive approach to our health and well-being.
I completely agree. We're starting to recognize the incredible power food has to shape not only how we feel today, but how we age over time. It's a fascinating evolution in our understanding of nutrition.
And this video really highlights that shift, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's not just about telling us what to avoid. It's about empowering us with knowledge about the nutrients that can actually enhance our health and longevity.
Exactly. It's like we're becoming more savvy consumers, not just of products, but of the nutrients we're putting into our bodies.
And that's such a positive development. The more we understand about the intricate connection between food and our bodies, the better equipped we are to make choices that support our long-term health goals.
It's like we're taking control of our own aging process, at least to some extent.
Precisely, and I think that's a really empowering message. It's not about denying ourselves, it's about making informed decisions that align with our values and priorities.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final question to ponder.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Imagine you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice about nutrition and healthy aging. What would it be?
That's a great question. I think I'd tell my younger self to savor the journey of discovering the incredible variety and deliciousness of whole, nutrient-rich foods. Don't be afraid to experiment, try new things, and find what truly nourishes your body and soul.
I love that it's not about restriction, it's about embracing the abundance and joy of healthy eating.
Exactly, and remember, every meal is an opportunity to invest in your future well-being.
So true. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure exploring this fascinating topic with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to all of you listening, we hope you found this deep dive informative and inspiring. Remember, you have the power to shape your health destiny. Choose wisely. Until next time, happy deep diving.